Hello, welcome and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am talking about my recent trip to London and Paris. I'm going to cover all the topics and tips that I've learned and experienced from my trip to London and Paris that could possibly help you with the planning of your upcoming trip. In this video, I'm going to include photos and videos from my trip, and also will leave some helpful information and links in the description box. For your convenience, in this video, I'm also including the timestamps for all the topics that I'm going to be talking about today. And if you are already a subscriber of my channel and enjoy my company and my travel and stories, I hope you enjoyed this video as well. And if this is your first time on my channel, hello, my name is Eve. Here on my channel, I primarily share about beauty, lifestyle, and travel. And if that sounds interesting to you, I hope you stick around and subscribe to my channel, join my YouTube family here. And now, without further ado, let's dive in. This video, I will be talking both about London and Paris. Make sure to check out the timestamps again underneath this video for your convenience. I will be talking about London specifics first, and then we will move on to Paris. I do have a lot of notes in front of me, and I try to organize the order of the topics that would make most sense. However, some information can be overlapping a little bit because it is a one trip and things kind of go hand in hand together. Let's just first talk about the travel and dates. How long is enough? How many days is enough in London, and which season is good to travel. I traveled to London and Paris with my partner for our anniversary. Then we happened to have it at the end of September. This is why we booked the trip at the end of September for a week. We were traveling total between both London and Paris for 8 days. And I just want to say that generally that was definitely plenty of time to travel both places. Is September a good month to travel? Absolutely. I thought that the weather was very, very nice. It's not too hot anymore. However, it's still considerably comfortably warm. And there were a few days that were a little bit more windy. A lot of people would warn us that it may actually rain in the fall. Fall is known to be a rainy season in Europe, and especially in London. Unfortunately, we did not have any rain at all during our stay there. As far as how many days would you need to stay in London, how many days is enough, I want to say it really depends what type of traveler you are and what you would like to see, how many things you want to see, how you like to see things. If you just want to do the main attractions, if you don't want to see all of them, because London is big and there's so many things to see, I would want to say maybe 3-4 days would be just enough. And I will go more into details of tours and transportation, etc. later on in this video. However, if you are trying to be a little bit more slow paced, if you're trying to experience more of a local life and even go outside of London, I would say staying for a week is probably more ideal. A little bit more of a personal story here. We live in Florida. We had a direct overnight flight from Orlando to Heathrow in London, and then on the way back we also had a direct flight, but it was more of a midday flight. Both of the flights were super convenient. We flew with Virgin Atlantic and we really enjoyed their service. There were no issues with our luggage, boarding, onboarding, and we really had a pleasant experience. The next big decision that you'll have to make is where to stay in London. And let me tell you right away that London is a very big city. I honestly underestimated it. I knew London was a big city, but I didn't know it was that big. And again, it all comes down to what are you going to do in London. If you are going to be doing a lot of touristy things, I do definitely suggest to stay in more of a central London area, such neighborhoods as Mayfair and Westminster. This is going to be a very, very central area. We're very close to like your Buckingham Palace, Big Ben, Parliament, London Eye. So this is going to be the area. There's a lot is going to be happening. There's primarily a lot of tourists. The good part is that everything is pretty much in a walkable distance. Again, walkable, I'll put in a quote because London is big, and we will get into that in just a little bit later on in this video. If you would like to be still in a reachable neighborhood, however, not in the middle of it all completely, however, also considerably safe and tourist-friendly areas. So South Kensington, Belgravia, and Victoria are really, really good options. It's a little bit more towards the southwest side of London. We personally stayed in the Victoria area and we very much enjoyed that location. Well, it was very conveniently located. If you wanted to walk, it would probably be about 20-25 minutes walk to the Parliament area, to the London Eye, that main happening area. I will leave the link to our hotel in the description box for you for your convenience, because I thought we were very spot on with our hotel. And I also wanted to specifically mention the neighborhood Belgravia. Look it up separately, and even if you don't end up staying there, it would be a very, very interesting place to visit. They have a lot of hidden gems, very good food places, very good coffee shops, pastry shops, just a really cool neighborhood to check out. Another neighborhood that I wanted to mention, and for sole reason because there are some actually really nice hotel options in that area. And at first, if you do not know, if you've never been there and it's your first time traveling to London, you might think that you are a little bit left out if you stay in that area. However, it's really not like that. The area is called South Bank, and it is basically on the opposite side of the central London area, across the river, across the bridge, right on the side where the London Eye is. It's a little bit less touristy area if you compare it to the central part of London. However, there are really good hotel options. There are a lot of food options there. It's a really easy accessible across the river. Also, it might seem like you need to cross the river and it just seems like a really big project and it just puts you a little bit too far away from all the main sites. However, it's really not that far. So another very, very fun area to stay in is Trafalgar Square. It's very, very beautiful area. There was, however, a lot of construction going on in that specific time when we were there. However, it is a beautiful area where just a lot of restaurants, a lot of coffee shops, a lot of bars. However, it is also very, very touristic. There are also hotels in that area. They are a little bit higher priced. However, you would get nicer hotel there. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit more about our specific hotel and why our Victoria location neighborhood was very, very good for us and why we loved it so much. We stayed in the hotel that was called Claremont Victoria. There are two different Claremont hotels in London, and specifically Victoria location was a spot on selection for us. Besides that, the hotel was really nice. They're very nice amenities, very nice amenities, very nice service. There is a really beautiful, nice restaurant and bar inside of the hotel, which is very convenient. There is also a really nice breakfast buffet there. We just generally enjoyed the hotel, but the location of that hotel was just spot on because the back door from the inside of the hotel was going into the underground. So underground in London is a metro or subway, just a different name for it. So we did not even have to leave the hotel if we needed to get into the underground. And I will be speaking about the underground and all the transportations later on in this video. That was just extremely convenient, especially getting from the airport and then getting back to the airport. So also our nearest stop to our hotel was right on the circular line of the underground. So we were maybe 2-3 stops from all the main sites that we wanted to see. It would take us literally no time to get anywhere without wasting too much energy. Now let's chat a little bit about the transportation, and I have a really good news for you guys. The transportation is super available. It is super convenient. It is so easy to use. And this is going to be the best way for you to move around town. So there are 3 main ways of moving around London. Again, I will go back to say that London is really, really big and don't underestimate the size of it. I am a person who loves walking. And on my first day, I'm like, yes, I'm going to walk everywhere and I want to see things. I just want to like walk and see things. I took my words back really quickly. So now let me share with you what's available in London, what's the best way to move around. So first we have underground, then we have buses, and then there are taxis. These are the 3 most common things around London. Of course, you have options like little mopeds and electric bikes, so you can just download your app and move around if you want to. All that is there for you. All those options exist. Option of walking or renting your own car is always there. Let's just specifically talk about the underground, and this is a huge, huge system. So underground in London is, again, it's your subway or metro, wherever you want to call it, but in London it's called underground, and it is very, very big. It will take you places very, very far. I would suggest you get familiar with it when you're planning your trip. However, once you get there, it's very easy to navigate, and I will share more tips in just a moment. So underground is awesome. It's very clean. It's very convenient. It's very easy to navigate. Also quite inexpensive. If you're staying there for a long time, I would suggest you look into having maybe more unlimited options. If we know we're going to be exploring in the city, just going from one side to another, it definitely makes sense to buy unlimited a day or unlimited 3 days. I think you can do a month or a week, things like that. So I definitely recommend you looking into it. However, like I said, there's really no need to worry about it ahead of time. Once you get there, you will get to figure it out. There are kiosks. They look like basically ATM machines. So whenever you go in there, you can purchase your ticket. The small confusing part for us purchasing that ticket was that it could let you pick which zones you're traveling from. So like I said, the underground goes really, really far. So if you're traveling within central zone radius, then this is going to be like one fee, correct? Then if you want to go to the second and third and fourth, so it just somewhat goes into like how far out you're going to be traveling. So there's also an option for you not to buy a ticket at the kiosk, but do an Apple Pay, like a touchless pay at the gate. Whenever you get through the gate into the underground, going into your station, there are little sensors. So you would just hold your phone on and it will scan it, detect it, and then once you go in, you get off on the station that you need to get off on, and on the exit you scan your phone again and the system basically calculates your charge. So it's super, super convenient. You definitely could purchase a ticket at the kiosk or with a person in the window. However, touchless solution was the easiest and most simple thing I've ever seen. So now let's talk about buses. Red double-decker buses. To my opinion, they're so adorable, and they are just such a symbol of England, and whenever you get there, they are everywhere. Let me just say that the buses are everywhere. Everywhere. I don't think I've ever been to any large city and seen this many buses just going one after another, after another, after another. Bus system is also very advanced. You can travel by bus anywhere you want, and it's also very convenient because it's a flat rate. The touchless payment method also applies. As soon as you walk in through that front door where the driver sits, you scan your phone, you go in. When you leave, you can leave through any other door. You don't have to scan anything else because it is a flat charge. So the other option is taxis, and again, they're super adorable. So taxis in London are very like old school looking, very retro type of cars. You also have a system of touchless payments, and I will have to tell you that it's pretty safe to use taxis from what we experience. However, it is definitely more of a more expensive way of moving around. So I also wanted to talk about how to get from the airport to your hotels. And again, it all comes down to the underground and buses. This was also another good thing about our hotel, because when we were at the airport, we literally just went outside to the underground. And then in about 20-25 minutes, we were in Victoria. It was just a straight line of underground right from the airport to Victoria Station. And then it was just right around the corner to get to our hotel. Another big topic is what to see. Is everything worth seeing? What's worth your time and attention? And again, it will come down to what type of tourist you are. Do you want to see everything? Do you only want to see the main palaces and like the biggest buildings, the most famous things? There's a lot of different things to see in London. However, it will all come down to what you want to see. So let's just cut the fluff and I will tell you my favorite places that I've seen. I will give you my top attractions, the ones that were jaw-droppings, the ones that were mesmerizing, the ones that were definitely worth your time, the ones that definitely gave you like insight of culture and history. My personal favorite, and the one that I highly, highly recommend you visit, is a Westminster Abbey. This was the most mesmerizing, breathtaking, full of history and architectural, mind-blown place that I've ever seen in my entire life. It will take you about 3 hours to visit that place if you like to really just go around. There's also an audio tour. We went to Westminster Abbey during the week, so the line was probably about 30-40 minutes long, but definitely if you go in during the weekends or maybe during holiday times, just consider that it could be a longer wait. However, it's definitely the place that is, I think, the top of the list, that is just so interesting to visit and definitely not want to be missed. My second favorite was definitely seeing the Buckingham Palace and seeing changing of the guards. Buckingham Palace is very, very interesting. A location, of course, has a very interesting history as a building itself, and also the royal family history. Of course, everything in England and London is about the royals. So as far as changing of the guards, it's definitely very, very interesting. Just keep in mind, not only about specifically changing of the guards, but also about any other main attractions and places to visit, that they do have separate schedules, and at times they would be closed certain days, and on other days there will be another place that's closed. So check out ahead of time the places and their schedules. So royal guards definitely have a very interesting history on their own, which I'm not going to get to right now, but they're also one of the biggest symbols of England and London specifically. Right now it's more of a traditional like symbolism of them rather than being actually purposeful, let's say. However, it's definitely very interesting to watch them march and learn about them. So I personally really love fashion, and I very much enjoyed going to Kensington Palace and seeing their installation of Crown to Couture. The Kensington Palace is the location where the royal family lives. So there's a small portion of one of the buildings that is available to public to come in and visit and tour. So in the past, it used to be just empty rooms basically with minimal furniture. When we went, there was this beautiful installation, Crown to Couture, where they basically have a showroom of all these super famous dresses and outfits that were worn by the very well-known celebrities. I really enjoyed the installation. I thoroughly enjoyed the fashion pieces that were on display. That was like Beyonce's dress there. That was Blake Lively's famous blue dress, blue gold dress. It's just mesmerizing in person. There was a Pat McGrath display there with all the makeup. There was just so many amazing couture fashion that was just up in front of you. And yeah, it was definitely very interesting to see. However, I just want to say in regards of Kensington Palace, I just probably wouldn't be stressing out going in there because, to be honest with you, it wasn't really that impressive on its own. The portion, at least, that's open to public to tour, it's generally just not very impressive. Even like the building on its own, it's not very like magnificent, let's say. It's very modest, it's considerably small. However, it sits on a very large territory. There is a huge lake with swans. They're just so beautiful and graceful to watch. And there's a huge park where people just walk and enjoy themselves. There is a beautiful playground. And then there's also an area that was created by Princess Diana. It's just very nice to visit, to walk around, take your time. There is a beautiful coffee shop there that you can just like sit down and have your coffee, just absorb everything. It's a really nice area, but I wouldn't say that it was just generally very impressive. So another area that I thoroughly enjoy was Covent Garden. It's basically just this outdoor market and shopping. Charlotte Tilbury store, if you're a makeup lover, is there. Kiko Milano store is right there in Covent Garden. Fashion shops and smaller businesses are there. There's a lot of restaurants and bars, street entertainment, music. So it's just really fun place to go. It definitely gives you like a different vibe. It's very interesting to visit. So definitely put that on your to visit list. I do recommend that. Another place that definitely stood out to me was visiting Greenwich Village. It's more on the southern part of London. You can take either one of the boats to get there, or you can definitely take underground and go there. But I would say Uber boat would probably be a little bit more cost effective. Greenwich Village has definitely a different vibe to it. It's less touristy. It's still touristy, but it's more of like a low-key touristy. It's more quiet. It's kind of like more laid back. There are a lot of different pubs there. So pubs are actually pretty fun in that area if you want to go to like a English pub. So those are really fun in that area. Also a lot of different like food places, coffee shops, pastry shops, things like that. But also you can see some of the sightseeing spots like Queen's Castle and Observatory. There's just like few other museums there. So you can literally spend the entire day in Greenwich and you will definitely enjoy it. It was also a very interesting reference if you are a Bridgerton fan and if you watch the Queen Charlotte portion of the series, definitely you will catch some resemblance. So really cool. So I definitely would recommend you visiting that area too. So another famous one that I have to mention is the Shard. Of course, we have to talk about the Shard. So the Shard has definitely a very interesting history. It is definitely a building that's not to be missed, or you can't be missed, because it has a very interesting construction. You can easily Google all the information and read about it, how it was built, what was the inspiration for it, etc. Shard is located to the southern part of London. So whatever you see on the observation deck on the Shard, you do not see it from the London Eye, because they are located in two different areas. So because London built along the river and the river goes kind of like in the snake shape, the view from the observation deck on the Shard is completely different from what you see on the London Eye. But Shard is also much higher than the London Eye. To my humble opinion, Shard is definitely interesting to visit. It's definitely interesting to learn about. However, it's a little bit overrated. But one thing I want to tell you about the Shard: if you are looking to have the best, fanciest, very great service and ambience, like upscale ambience for your afternoon tea, I highly recommend you go in one of the restaurants. I will have it linked for you in the description box. I've tried several afternoon teas in London while we were staying there, and by far that was the most outstanding and the most memorable, positive luxury experience that we could have. That being said, if you are going there are a few restaurants there. So if you're planning to go in one of the restaurants in the Shard, I can easily say that you can skip on the observation deck easily because those restaurants are located on the entire floor. The windows are from top to bottom. You can have just as great of a view what you would see on the observation deck. This is just my humble opinion, and it would save you about 30 francs per person. So while we also on the topic, one of the main things that I have biggest regrets on not going to is the Harry Potter world. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's a really big subject on its own. However, I will still share some very valuable tips with you. If you are a Harry Potter fan, you will definitely want to go there. The Harry Potter studios are located outside of London. You can easily get there from underground and a small bus trip. Just allow yourself a little bit extra time on traveling, but it's going to be very easy and convenient for you to get there. So one biggest advice that I want to tell you if you want to go to Harry Potter studios is that plan and schedule ahead of time. I was booking everything for our trip several months ahead of time. So when I looked into the Harry Potter tickets 6 weeks ahead, they were all sold out. There were only private tours that are available. So I believe there were 3 different tiers for tickets. The initial admission, then there was one that would give you like some gifts or something like that. And there were private tours, which is the highest tier. So the highest tier, I believe it was about $250 per person. And then the general admission is $50. And I think the middle tier was like $150 or something like that. So it's an incredible place to visit. We unfortunately totally missed out on that because when I started looking into it 6 weeks ahead of time, all the general admission was already sold out like for weeks and weeks and weeks on the time frame that we were there. And then I did see the availability for the private tours, and I wanted to consult my partner about that. And then next day when I came back, they were all gone. So that's just one thing that I know it's very, very like a hot spot for people to go to with families, especially, or, you know, teenagers or anybody else really who is a big fan of Harry Potter. I definitely wanted to visit. I've been to Harry Potter World here in Florida. However, I definitely wanted to see it there because it's different. It's definitely a different vibe. The biggest tip about transportation that I wanted to share with you is how to get to places. You'll be like, Eve, how do we know where to go? Because we come to London, we don't know the city. You're telling us that using underground is super easy, but how do we know? Like, we don't understand how to read maps. So I got you. The best friend for your entire trip, you guys, the bestest friend that you will have is the Maps app on your iPhone. So we were using the Maps app on our phone the entire time that we were there. You just need to put in where you're going. The app will give you an option if you want to walk, if you want to take a train, if you want to take a bus, then you would click on that option and it would literally tell you step by step where to go, where to turn, which line to take, which turn to take. This was one single most helpful and the most convenient things that we used the most in London. I also want to talk about the tours, the tour buses. Is it worth it to go and buy the Go London pass, that all-inclusive traveling pass? So let me just tell you this. So I downloaded this app and everything was in there. So I personally purchased a 3-day city pass. We definitely did a majority of those things. To my opinion, it's definitely worth purchasing something like this because you're going to have a lot of things included in the pass. However, you also have to keep in mind that London is pretty big and you're not going to overwhelm yourself running from one place to another. I want to say my best advice here would be stick to a specific area that you would like to explore that's included in your pass. Think of like neighborhoods. If you want to do like central London today, or maybe you want to do like southern part of London tomorrow, and then maybe you want to do a Greenwich Village on the other day. So the last thing you want to do is to go from one side of the city to another and just go back and forth in zigzags. Just going into specific neighborhoods, exploring them in the bunch like that, it probably would make the biggest sense. So this would be my best advice to you. The city pass also included ways of transportation. So you can do the hop off, hop on bus, which was super awesome. And I thought it was very good. I think 2 or 3 different bus lines that were included. So if you use one line, one brand of them, let's say, then you can't switch them. So if you go to on a big bus, lines that you have to stick with a big bus. The big bus has like 3 or 4 different routes. I think it's 3 different routes. And one is like a museum route. Another one is like the general route. And then the other one is something else, like a royal route or something like that. So you can actually explore if you just want to go everywhere and just kind of see things, see what they look like, even if you're to see if you're even interested in that specific area. I do recommend you go on just that bus and without even maybe needing to get off of it. You know, if you don't want to, maybe you just want to kind of see around and see how far things are from each other. Then you also have an option to move along the river, which you have like Uber boats and there's something else. They all call differently, and then there are like several different companies that work. However, kind of is the same thing with boats. If you go on one, then you cannot go on a different company's boat. I hope this makes sense. At any point, if you feel like you have more questions about specific topics, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I would love to answer all your questions questions and chat with you there. So when it comes to general tours, I'm just gonna tell you this. There's so many of them. There are just so many of them. It's overwhelming. There's just so many companies that compete with each other for their tours. It's honestly overwhelming. The reason why I got the Go City passes is because it was just more simplified and I could actually easily get in touch with them over email, because I was here in America when I was scheduling everything and I was like, I have questions. They were just very easy to get in touch with. I got to communicate with their company and ask some questions, make some specific reservations, and they would get back to me, and I did not have any regrets buying the tickets from them. One thing that I wanted to mention is that there are some attractions, some places that would be on the list included, right? And then you don't need to make like a specific reservation for them. However, there are going to be certain places that you would require to email the company with your specific reservation, telling them which date you want to go, what time, and how many people. So there's going to be a few attractions like that, and just keep that in mind. Read the descriptions. This is my best advice to you. No matter which company you decide to reserve your tours with, my best advice to you is read the fine print and follow the direction. Because we got into the Parliament tour where we did have a reservation, and I really wanted to go into the Parliament, and I really thought we were going to the Parliament, but unfortunately we stopped right in front of the Parliament, right outside of it, right outside of that gorgeous, absolutely spectacular building, and we did not get in because I missed out to properly read the fine print, and where it basically said that the Parliament tour did not include the actual inside of the Parliament tour. Going inside of the Parliament was definitely one of the things that I really wanted to do. However, it required a separate reservation. So also another thing about this all-inclusive tickets is that certain attractions are not included. For example, like London Eye. London Eye is so popular, and the separate tickets, I think about like 30 francs. Now, guys, let's talk about the food, all right? It's a big subject. Was the food good? Was the coffee good? Were desserts good? So I am here to tell you all about this. First things first, London is full of restaurants, full of coffee shops, and there's definitely not a lack of any of those things. And we personally did not even have to do any reservations anywhere unless you want to go into a Michelin star restaurant, which there are quite a few of them. And if that's something on your list you want to experience, definitely look into that ahead of time and make your reservations. But generally, because we were just all over town exploring and going places, and we were just popping into any restaurant and see if they have availability. We never had to wait in line for any table. It was just a matter of like which food we wanted to eat, because there are just different types of cuisines available. So just bottom line, I would want to say that there's just so many choices that there's really no need to make any reservations. So the quality of food, I thought it was okay. I thought that some places were better than others. Here in America, I use Yelp a lot for looking up places and seeing the reviews, seeing photos of food, etc. And unfortunately in Europe, or maybe just in England, Yelp is not popular. Maybe if you wanted to see their food or drinks or reviews, maybe just go directly on their Instagram page or just straight up Google them. I am a huge coffee lover. I am somewhat addicted to coffee. So I definitely have to have my coffees every day. And I want to say that I really enjoy coffee options. Coffee tasted really good in London, and there is definitely, again, not a lack of coffee shops. You never need to go to Starbucks unless you want to. One thing that I wanted to mention is that I take my coffee with a cream, and cream apparently is not a thing in England. First, I was a little bit confused because when we were flying from Orlando to London and I ordered coffee with cream on the plane, and the lady said, "Cream, milk?" And I said, "Cream, yes, cream." And then she gave me packets of milk, and I told my boyfriend, I said, well, I did tell her cream and she still gave me milk. And I was like, okay, fine, that's fine, I'll just take milk. So when we got to London, we shortly learned that there is no cream in England. Such thing does not exist. They have non-dairy options like oat milk or soy milk, and they have regular milk. So I opted out for oat milk for the entire time that we were there. When it comes to food, I definitely wanted to mention the afternoon tea. Again, there's just so many different places that serve afternoon tea. There's even a separate company that runs the bus on the streets that looks like you're just riding a bus, and it's like pink and it has like flowers on it. So they're serving you the afternoon tea. I mean, I think you can take it any time of the day, but they basically serving you like the afternoon tea on the bus while you're going through the city. Had 3 different ones while we were there, and the best one was definitely in the Shard, which I would highly recommend. It wasn't necessarily the cheapest experience. It has a really fun name. It's called Over the Rainbow. The service and just the presentation and just the environment itself in that specific restaurant was excellent. So what to take with you, what to pack with you, what's the fashion like, what to wear, let's cover all that. So London is definitely one of those places where there are 4 seasons, and end of September, beginning of October, it's definitely the time of the seasonal transition. So some days are a little bit warmer, some days are a little bit colder, can get really windy. Generally, I thought that London was a little bit more windy than I thought it would be. So we also learned from the locals that we were very lucky not to experience any rain at that time that we were staying there. So to my understanding, if you're traveling in the fall generally is considered a rainy season in England, and definitely bringing an umbrella with you would be helpful, or some type of like rubbery shoe covers, something like that. Maybe like a trench coat or something like a raincoat, a jacket would be very helpful. I also noticed that everywhere you go, especially like hotels, they would have umbrellas right outside in their lobby, so you could use those as well. But I would think if you're traveling on your own, maybe you're staying in Airbnb or somewhere else, then bringing your umbrella would probably be beneficial. So when it comes to what to wear, let's talk about fashion a little bit. The majority of things that I observed, the fashion is quite simplified. It's not allowed at all. People wear a lot of basics, like a lot of neutral colors like white, black, shades of gray, navy, brown. So you don't see loud colors at all anywhere. Nobody's really wearing bright colors. Maybe it's because of the season, maybe it's because of the culture. So I really don't know the answer to that, but I just noticed that generally people wear a lot of like muted basics, but primarily it's all like very basic neutral colors. So when it comes to outerwear, it's a trench coat, a leather jacket, and maybe some type of blazer. So this is primarily what you see. And people wear a lot of like simple tops, something that's maybe like a business casual type. Also a lot of button downs. People wear a lot of jeans and plain pants, like dressier pants, slacks type. When it comes to footwear, wear something comfortable. Pack something super comfortable with you, like the most comfortable walking shoes you have. If you're going to be exploring, if you're going to be going to places, if you're going to be standing in lines to get to sightseeings, you definitely want the most comfortable shoes. And I'll repeat again, London is really, really big. I will also tell you what people do not wear in London. Any type of leggings. I've never seen a pair of leggings in the entire week we were there. I've never seen any type of ripped jeans that people wear primarily just like a clean, just very simple classic styles, different shapes and colors. However, no like embellishments or rips or anything like that. So just very clean fashion overall. People also do not wear a ton of makeup. This is something that I was also paying attention to because I'm a huge lover of beauty and makeup. This is what my channel is here about. I feel like in America is definitely completely different vibe when it comes to makeup. So the makeup that people wore primarily were a lot of mascaras, eyeliners, very, very natural lips, and maybe a little bit of blush, and that's about it. If you wanted to go shopping in London, there are definitely few large retailers, like those shopping malls that you can go, like Harrods. There are few large malls there are in London for shopping. However, the Covent Garden is also a fun area to go shopping. So if we're talking about the cost of things, I want to say that it was pretty equal, if not less than American prices right now when we're talking about food, drinks, excursions, tours, etc. I thought it was pretty on the same level, if not less. So expectations versus reality. I think generally the vibe of the place was very elegant. Everything is just organized and calm. People are very polite and friendly, not like an American way friendly, like super bubbly and smiley, but they're just very, very pleasant to talk to. And the accent, they could talk to me all day long and I would just be listening to them. I was hoping to pick up some of the accent when I was there. I enjoyed the accent so much. It was just like music to my ears. I could listen to English accent all day, every day. One other thing that I also wanted to say is that just in case you forgot something, there are just so many places out there, especially if you're staying in like touristy areas. It's just very easy to pick up like shampoo or deodorant or toothbrush, toothpaste, things like that. It's just very, very easy accessible. So these are the things that I wanted to share with you about London. And now let me share a little bit about Paris. And we stayed primarily for our trip. We primarily stayed in London and we spent 2 days in Paris. So to get from London to Paris, we took Eurostar. I will leave the link for you in the description box where to get tickets. It was very, very easy to get to Eurostar. Again, you just get under the ground and you just get to to Eurostar session. It's pretty easy to get there. Just definitely allow yourself extra time to get there and settle and find your gate, etc. So getting there was pretty easy. Navigating there is pretty easy. You are allowed to bring your own food and drinks there. You can purchase food on Eurostar if you wanted to. However, they're not like as advanced. And I think when we were going there, something broke. Some of their equipment did not work. So we didn't have like a full option of the menu. So you definitely can bring your own food. But generally traveling from London to Paris on Eurostar was 2 hours and 20 minutes. Super convenient. It's a speed line that goes straight to Paris and back. And it was also very comfortable, very clean. People that work there, the staff, they were very attentive. They spoke both languages, French and English. They were also very knowledgeable and helpful if you have any questions. They have chargers and restrooms on the train, obviously. So it's very well equipped. It's very comfortable, very fast. The route is definitely not very scenic to watch. However, it is definitely easy way to travel from London to Paris. It's only, like I said, 2.5 hours away. As of right now, you do not need any visa to get to England or to Paris. However, I heard that there are new regulations. They are being implemented in November 2023, if I'm not mistaken. There should be some visa protocols. They're being introduced. So just something for you to consider. So the best neighborhoods, the best areas that I was recommended where to stay are these. And I actually asked my friend who travels to Paris quite often, and she recommended me those. So we stayed in the area number 16, and we were about 10 minutes a walk from Eiffel Tower, which was incredible. So I just want to say that when you get to Paris, if in London, most of the architecture is a little bit understated. Some places are definitely gorgeous, out of this world. They're a little bit more modest when it comes to their architecture and size. When you get to Paris, everything is extra big and it's overly over the board, almost gorgeous. The architecture is absolutely stunning. Everything is bigger than you would think it was. Eiffel Tower is absolutely gorgeous. I thought that Eiffel Tower was much smaller when I saw it on pictures, when I saw it on other people's photos and videos. Eiffel Tower is gorgeous, it's big, and especially you need to see it when it's lit at night with the glimmering lights. Spectacular, spectacular view, and absolutely a must see. It was definitely a highlight of my Paris visit because Eiffel Tower is just magnificent. And Louvre, oh my God, that place is like a city size on its own. It's huge. Guys, I was born in Russia, and if you ever travel to St. Petersburg or Moscow, you know that things are grand in those places. So you get to Paris and everything is super grand. The architecture is just through the roof gorgeous. Intricate details. Literally any building that you just pass by, everything is just like the opera house. Everything is just so beautiful. I am a huge sucker for architecture. I love architecture, and I could stare at houses and read the books, watch documentaries about architecture for like all day, every day. And when I got to Paris, I felt like I was like in a slow motion, because the architecture is just mesmerizing. It's just so elevated. It's just so intricate. So I could just spend like a week just learning about the buildings and their history. That's just me. Because we were in Paris only for 2 days, so we did a tour around the city. It took us 2 hours just to go all around the city. And the tour in Paris is definitely not as advanced as in London. It's just one route that they take you through. There's also a night tour. If you wanted to go and see some of the fun places like Moulin Rouge area, that neighborhood is very interesting. If you take a night tour, they take you there. So it's basically a tour where places are lit in a specific way that is more impactful and more interesting. So you can also take that at nighttime. You can also take boat tours also at night and during the day. So that's kind of fun. It's not really like a necessity, I would think. You would see pretty much the same things and listen to the history, but you can be on the water. Yeah, I just want to say that 2 days in Paris were definitely not enough. Fully exploring Paris touristic areas, if you wanted to go to Louvre, if you wanted to go to Notre Dame, if you wanted to just go up on the Eiffel Tower, you need to allow yourself a few days for that. So I would want to say 3, 4, 5 days in Paris if you just wanted to be like a tourist, explore the local neighborhoods, go shopping. Definitely you will need more than 2 days. However, I still thoroughly enjoyed just seeing what we could see in 2 days. The food in Paris was definitely very good. However, not in touristic areas. In the main touristic areas, first of all, the service is not good and the food is quite mediocre. If you actually want to experience French cuisine, you need to go into like a small neighborhood. There are a lot of restaurants, coffee shops, pastry shops, you need to just get off of those main areas, period. So coffee in Paris was not good, and for several reasons that people didn't seem to drink coffee that much, even though they were. But anywhere you go, people are drinking either champagne or wine. And let me tell you, wine that I've tried while we were there in Paris, I had a few glasses of wine while we were there in a few different places, and let me tell you, they were exceptionally good. They were all exceptionally good, and this is what I recommend you to try. So pastry, oh my Lord. Pastry, however, is something that you do not want to miss. There are amazing bakeries, and holy guacamole, I would eat my fingers. I would eat my fingers with those pastries. Amazing, absolutely must try. Also, there are Michelin stars restaurant in Paris, quite few of them. So if that's something that you are interested in, make sure you make reservations ahead of time. So as far as fashion, from what I've seen in 2 days in Paris, a fun fact, when we were there for those 2 days, it was a Paris Fashion Week, and the madness for the event was real, you guys. The madness was real, but I will tell you also, the way they set up their runways for the shows is spectacular. They were usually around like the river or around the Eiffel Tower. So yeah, there was just so many people. People were going crazy, and everybody was just wearing their best outfits, best makeup. Like, it was so much fun. So generally the fashion was very similar to London. It's very subdued, it's very classic. The same goes with makeup. It's just very kind of like the clean makeup look. However, women wear a lot of red nails and red lips, like all sorts of like red tones of lips. However, everything else was very, very similar to London. Very subdued, very clean, classic outfits. And now I wanted to talk a little bit about transportation, and I wanted to share a unfortunate personal story. We primarily walked everywhere because of the neighborhood where we stayed was very convenient. However, we also had to take a taxi a few times, and very unfortunately, we got robbed in our taxi, and we were warned. I will tell you that in London, we were warned before we went to Paris. We were told that be careful when you make payments in taxis, because taxi drivers tend to just take more money than you actually owe them. And this is exactly what happened to us. Unfortunately, that happened. And like I said earlier, we were warned. My best advice would be, if you have cash on you, pay with cash. So shopping is definitely very fun in Paris. There are a lot of areas for shopping. However, I will tell you one thing. If you live in America, everything is available here in America. And a lot of brands there that we don't necessarily have stores here. Well, we may have them somewhere, maybe like in the larger cities, like I'm pretty sure New York has everything. A lot of stores that I saw there that I was like, oh yeah, I know it's a European brand, but I went on their website and I know that they ship to America with no issues. So I just wanted to say that if you live in America, it's of course your decision if you wanted to shop there, but if you live in America, I think we are just fortunate to have access to most of the things that you may see in Paris. It's definitely not the case for a lot of different people who travel from different countries. So shopping areas definitely could be something that you can take advantage of. And then I also wanted to say that Paris was not necessarily the safest place. We were also warned that there are a lot of theft going on. So having a crossbody bag that's in front of you is definitely recommended because there's definitely more crime in Paris, especially central touristy areas, than in London. However, in London, there were certain areas where we saw signs that would say pocket thieves, be aware. Expectations versus a reality in Paris. I just want to say that what you hear about Paris is partially true and partially not true. Paris definitely gives you the most romantic vibes because I think of its architecture and the grandness of it. So the general vibe that I got from Paris is that you really want to slow down and enjoy. Sip on that wine, you know, sit in the street cafe and maybe eat your pastry. You definitely want to slow down and enjoy. Definitely all this architecture, all these places, the famous places like Champs-Elysees and Notre Dame and Eiffel Tower, Louvre, they're all super impressive and grand. Like I said, the food was great, the wine was great, the pastry was great. And I also wanted to say that generally the vibe I got that Paris is really not that clean, while London was very, very clean and Paris was very contrasty in that matter. I absolutely love French language. I used to study French when I was in school. unfortunately, I never used the language. I forgot most of it. So I still remember how to say merci, je m'appelle, au revoir, like all these things, like, you know, the basic things. French people definitely appreciate when you say small things to them in French. I used to study French from first grade through the end of middle school. However, I never used it. I never traveled and used the language and practiced it, so I forgot the majority of it. So I think I will wrap up my video here, and if you have any additional questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below this video. I would love to chat with you there and answer your questions. If you enjoyed this video, give this a thumb up. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in my next videos.